What's a job that's romanticized, but in reality sucks? Mass Earth. But it only sucks when people romanticize it. Otherwise it's pretty awesome. Can suck if people sweat a lot or have massive amounts of body hair that fall off when you rub them, so you come out with your arms covered in some dude's back hair. You also get farted on a lot and hit on, and comments like, "Oh, I feel sorry for your boyfriend with all that strength in your fingers." Good thing is you can just laugh and push a really sore trigger point to make yourself feel better. Otherwise it's a pretty awesome job, but definitely not for everyone. I strongly suspect being a spy doesn't involve half as many high-tech gadgets and spontaneous sexual intercourse as I've been led to believe. One former member of the CIA said the most unbelievable thing about James Bond was that he never had to file an expense report. Super boring and lonely. Keep your head down with your local, usually shitty, job you're placed in, and write reports at night. 4 years. Typically never leads to anything. This is what I imagine the asset we have in Berlin is like. Wait your whole darn life for a call on a burner phone to assassinate a rogue CIA agent. In the meantime, grind val, edit, spelling, might explain why those assets are all about that attempting assassination in movies. At that point they are willing to kill, or be killed, just to have something to break up the monotony. Well, this thread is insanely depressing. Are there any good fields to go into? Lol. The lesson is that a job is a means to support your lifestyle. If it depresses you, then don't put all of your self-worth into your career identity. Strive for work/life balance and develop some hobbies. 100% thought this was going to read, if it depresses you then be born rich, but you are right. Every career path has its pros and cons, and most importantly toxic management. Find some place you don't feel oppressed and then focus on separating work from life. Game tester. I worked as a game tester for EA for almost 3 years. Here's what it's like. Imagine a game type you don't like. Maybe soccer games. Maybe an RTS. Whatever. You now play that game 8 hours a day. But you don't play it. You test it. So let's imagine an RTS. You are told to test the resource acquisition systems. All you do is click around and make sure your guys can mine gold and harvest lumber. You click around the map and mine in forest. There is no combat. They've turned that off for your testing. There is no story, because you just flick from level to test the resource system. You test using one guy. You testing using 100 guys. You make sure no other units can gather resources. You try blocking your own guys. You try killing your own guys. 8 hours a day, every day, 4 weeks. You enter dozens of bugs. They put out a patch that fixes the bugs. You have to retest every level and every bug to make sure they're all fixed. That's game testing. I always had a strong suspicion that it wasn't just playing FPS games before their release all day with your coworkers. / play FPS match with coworkers. / take a shot. Passes through enemy's head. / everybody stops what they're doing. / spend an hour trying to reproduce the bug. / same shot, same weapon, same position. Finally get it. / test every other weapon and every other character to get as much information as possible. / write up detailed bug report. Send to developers. / get response, we can't reproduce it. / have to go up to developer section and spend an hour of their time reproducing it. / bug gets classified as D. Known bug not going to be fixed. / go home for the day. Known bug not going to be fixed is the best one to receive. From what I've understood, being a cowboy it's really awful. Gunslingers and bandits too. Literature often portrays them as folk heroes who wore flashy, studded suits and gun belts and traipsed around towns like they owned them, striking fear into civilians and lawmen alike. However, the reality of the matter is that these guys were nothing more than common criminals and fugitives who were always on the run, could never settle down and relax, and often had only a rope or bullet to the head to look forward to at the end of their incredibly short lives. Or tuberculosis. Or lumbago. That's a slow and painful death, my brother. Working on a film. If your crew, it sucks. Long hours for what seem like very slow progress on the picture. Lots of standing around waiting, etc. You arrive well before everyone else and leave after everyone else. If this is an indie production, you also may have to beg/chase down for your pay at the end of each week. Oh, and when the film wraps, you're now unemployed. I'm a sound effects editor and have to say, post-production is much more forgiving. Love my job. I probably wouldn't last long on a set though. Post-production is the little hidden gem of the entertainment industry. Nice air-conditioned office. No crazy travel. Ability to work from home. Less gossip/drama. Most editors I know are older, mature, experienced and just want to get home to their families. You don't see many people, etc. It's great. Shitty when you're a young girl who is an AE. But after 10 years of grunt work/experience/being abused, once you land that union job and you know the technical ins and outs, it's all worth it. I went to film school almost 2 decades ago. Everyone I know either went into editing or switched industries. It takes a special type to want to be on set at 40. Can confirm. Went to film school, went into editing, then switched careers. Lawyer. Number of historic, life-changing, precedent-setting cases participated in. 0 number of angry, self-entitled, abusive clients wanting to screw each other over. 842 number of pages of paperwork that sucked up free time and social life. 84. 836. Agreed. As a family law attorney, you see the worst shit. People squabbling over pots and pans, using kids as cannon fodder in the emotional battlefield, and clients grieving you when you make them pay the bill. Glad I got out. I would have loved to witness the Beanie Baby divorce, where the couple had to spread out the Beanie Baby collection all over the courtroom floor to divvy it up. A partner in my firm had a couple fighting over a pet cat, Fluffy. They were wanting the judge to do a custody/visitation schedule, except Fluffy was dead. They were fighting over the ashes. The attorneys didn't know the cat their clients referred to was dead until it came out during the hearing. When judge found out it was ashes the couple was so consumed by, he paused the hearing and took the attorneys to chambers. He was furious with the waste of court time. He gave them 2 Ziploc baggies and gave them lecture too. My buddy from law school clerked for a family court judge. He dealt with a lot of insane and sadness, but the bright spot was the couple who had a very contentious division of their collection of pepper grinders. Everyone used to think it was awesome that I worked in live sports TV. 70% of the people I worked with were miserable pricks with overinflated egos. And then there were the athletes. I knew several people that worked at my local TV station. They all basically said I got 5 minutes of training, and then I was editing the live news with no other instruction beyond, if you screw up, you're fired. Apparently the turnover rate, both voluntary and otherwise, was brutal. People take TV way too seriously. Too seriously for me. At least lol, it's really pretty frivolous. For real. The local college has a news show with 0 budget and it's considerably better than the network channel news. I mean, low bar but still. Being a therapist. Too many people I've met get into the field thinking it's how they saw it on TV. Affluent white collar, own office, warm slow pace environment, where you get to sit on a nice comfy couch and be like, let's talk about your feelings. That's only if you get to private practice, which they don't tell you is also like running your own small business, which good luck as you have no business acumen. The reality is you get out of grad school, get your first job working at a community mental health facility, because they are the only ones who will hire you with a limited license and no experience, getting paid less than $40K/year if you're lucky, and then get put in a walk-in closet of an office where they dump 100 client caseload on you the first day, followed by your first client who has 5 different diagnoses and is on 12 different psych meds who says to you, fuck you, you're my 7th different person I've heard here. Nobody cares about me. Yeah, people go into $100K of debt for that. Edit. I'm a therapist myself. I love what I do, but it takes years to get past all the shitty parts of the field to find your place in the field. Needless to say, too many don't survive the baptism by fire I mentioned above and either become burnt out, jaded, or leave the field altogether. I wanted to be a therapist. So I got my BA in psychology and got a job as a case manager in children's services at the community mental health center. If you work there a year, they would pay for you to go to school. So I was going to work there a year and get my master's on their dime. It was terrible. As a case manager, I also had 100 clients and the therapists had the same amount. We were all run ragged. During my time there, I found that I didn't have the temperament for the job. It was really hard to work with the children because they were mostly poor kids, food insecure, poor housing, parents absent back working 3 jobs, etc., who are victims of circumstance. My own mental health declined because I took all of that stress and worry home with me. I couldn't do it. So I left as soon as I could. It was so stressful. I now work a ho-hum desk job and I'm totally fine with that. People who can work in that field, particularly with children, and not lose it are very special people. Edit. Forgot to mention the shady billing practices. They would ask that we see the clients on Medicaid more often than the ones with Blue Cross Blue Shield because Medicaid paid more. So that means if Tommy had Medicare and is doing really well, he's taking his meds, etc., and only needs to be seen once a month, they would require that I see him at least once a week even though he's stable. Meanwhile, little Sally who has BCBS is not as stable and needs to be seen weekly would only be seen every other week because of her insurance. They were actually disciplining people who wouldn't comply and didn't meet their billing quota. Just before I left, a coworker was fired because she refused to basically commit billing fraud. When she packed up her desk as she was leaving, she told me to make sure my charts were in order because she was suing the company and had been working with a lawyer for a while in anticipation of getting fired. I left a few months later before they could fire me next and I moved out of state. So I'm not sure what became of her lawsuit. Ballerina. Fortunately you won't be doing it for very long. In order to have a shot at dancing ballet professionally, you have to train your entire life. Once you make it, you'll be paid so little that you'll share lodging with a half dozen other dancers, since you make less than a server at a casual dining restaurant. And even then the odds of still being a professional dancer after 30 are almost nil. If you want to stay in the field, you basically have to move into teaching, which tends to pay so poorly that you'll need to find a second job. Source: married a former professional ballerina, and you destroy your feet in the process. Between the diet, the stress, and the tens of hours of practice every week for hundreds of weeks in a row, practice spent doing things that a competent doctor would suggest you avoid, such as bearing your full weight on single hyperextended joints, you destroy your body in the process. That is, after all, what ends a career. Before you exit your 20s, you literally can't do it anymore.